Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take your source material, your notes, your research, your whole stack of knowledge, and distill it down to the facts, the insights, and the unforgettable stories you need to know.
We're here to give you that critical shortcut to being truly well-informed.
And today, we are undertaking a monumental task, a deep dive into an enduring career that spans more than 2 decades.
A figure so dominant, so relentless, that the conversation around her legacy often starts and ends with a single term: the greatest.
We are diving into the life, the strategy, and the cultural earthquake that is Serena Jamaica Williams.
It's a huge topic.
It is. So let's unpack the magnitude right away, because the numbers she put up are, well, they're almost unique in professional sports history.
Right.
When we talk about her place at the top, we need to understand the scale. For you listening, what defines the sheer scope of her dominance?
So I'd say the scope is defined by maybe 4 things: quantity, duration, uniqueness, and format mastery.
Okay, let's start with quantity. That feels like the most straightforward one.
It is. In terms of sheer quantity, she retired holding 23 major singles titles. Now, it's really crucial to note that these are open-era records.
Let's pause on that, because that term open era is absolutely central to tennis history.
Yeah.
Why do we focus on open era records? What does that mean for you at home?
The Open Era, which began in 1968, is essentially when the 4 major tournaments, Wimbledon, U.S. Open, French Open, and the Australian Open, finally allowed professional players to compete alongside amateurs.
But before that, the best players weren't always at the biggest tournaments.
Exactly. Many of the greatest professionals were just excluded from the biggest events. So when we cite her 23 titles, we're talking about the benchmark of success in the era of modern, truly global professional tennis.
The most competitive era.
By far. And that 23 is the most for any player, male or female, in that period. It surpasses Steffi Graf's 22.
Okay, so that's quantity. What about duration?
Duration speaks to her incredible career longevity. She spent 319 weeks ranked world #1.
319.
Which is the 3rd most all-time. It's a testament to her persistence over, decades. And crucially, that ranking dominance wasn't just physical, it was financial too.
Right.
The source material highlights that she is the highest-earning woman athlete of all time, with career prize money totaling over $94.8 million US.
Wow. That's a staggering number on its own.
It is, but what's more staggering is that it's nearly $40 million more than the next highest female player. It just shows that prolonged success translates directly to unprecedented economic dominance.
But here's the qualitative insight that truly makes her case for the GOAT of GOATs almost unassailable. The Golden Slam feat.
This is the key differentiator. A career Golden Slam, for anyone who doesn't know, means winning all 4 major singles titles plus the Olympic singles gold medal.
A huge achievement.
A monumental achievement. Steffi Graf did it and Serena did it. But, and this is the big point, Serena Williams is the only player, male or female, in the history of the sport to complete 3 career Golden Slams.
3.
She did it once in women's singles and twice, alongside her sister Venus, in women's doubles. That is total mastery of the sport across singles, doubles, and major international competition.
It demonstrates a strategic versatility that, few specialists ever achieve.
It's unmatched.
So our mission today is clear. We are unpacking the source material to reveal the strategic genius, the technical mastery, and the profound cultural impact that defined this multi-decade career.
We're focusing on the surprising facts, the deep technical analysis of her game, and, the crucial turning points that turned an incredible talent into perhaps the greatest athlete of all time.
And to understand the global phenomenon, we have to start where her journey first diverged from every other champion, that unique foundation built in her early life.
Exactly, the non-traditional blueprint.
When we talk about the typical tennis champion, we usually conjure images of what? Elite European training camps, American country clubs.
Something like that, yeah.
Serena's story, alongside Venus's, begins in a significantly different, deeply unconventional setting.
It really does. Serena was born in 1981 in Saginaw, Michigan, but her competitive foundation was forged in Compton, California.
And Compton at the time was a setting notorious for its poverty and violence, not for producing world-class tennis players.
Not at all. She and Venus were coached primarily by their parents, Oracene Price and Richard Williams, using, often dilapidated municipal courts as their training ground.
They weren't just practicing in an unconventional location, they were practicing with an unconventional method. Richard Williams famously had this detailed 78-page plan for their careers before they were even born.
That 78-page plan really speaks to the intense, calculated nature of their development. By the age of 10 in 1991, Serena was already just dominating the junior circuit.
What were her stats like then?
She had an astonishing 46-3 record and was ranked #1 among under 10 players in Florida. She was clearly destined for immediate junior stardom.
Yet this is where Richard Williams made that radical, almost unthinkable decision that completely defied the traditional pathway for a prodigious talent.
He pulled both sisters out of the national junior system.
Which is crazy when you think about it.
It was a critical divergence. In an era where continuous high-level junior competition was seen as essential, Richard pulled them out at age 10. And the source material details his reasoning, which was multi-layered and strategic.
Okay, so what were the reasons?
First, he was deeply concerned about burnout. He had seen too many promising young players just flame out due to the intensity and pressure of the junior circuit grind.
That makes sense.
Second, he prioritized their education. They were homeschooled.
And the third reason, it hits on the painful realities of race in the sport at that time.
Absolutely. Richard publicly stated that a crucial motivator was the constant exposure to racism. He claimed he witnessed experiences of racial slurs and white parents talking about the Williams sisters in derogatory, overtly racist ways during tournaments.
So his decision was, in part, a strategic move to insulate them.
Yes, to allow them to develop their game, their physical power, and their mental fortitude outside of that relentlessly toxic environment. It was about preserving their psychological health and their love for the game.
That insulation allowed them to jump straight to the highest level, bypassing the typical junior apprenticeship. That required immense confidence.
It did. Serena turned professional in October 1995, just after turning 14. And this leap immediately raised issues with the WTA's age eligibility restrictions.
So she was too young to play by the rules.
Right. She initially tried to use a wildcard entry to circumvent the rule, and when she was denied, she took the organization on directly.
She actually filed an antitrust lawsuit against the WTA
Yeah.
at 14.
Yes. She and her family filed an antitrust lawsuit against the WTA over these rules, arguing that the restrictions limited their earning potential and professional freedom.
That's a fascinating glimpse into the early confrontational approach the family often took.
It is. It shows the mindset that defined her career. I mean, a 14-year-old taking on the governing body of her sport. Although she ultimately withdrew the lawsuit at her parents' request, the action itself says so much.
And she eventually got to play her first professional event.
She did. She used a wildcard entry at the Bell Challenge in Quebec.
So from that non-traditional start and this early confrontation with the establishment, she powered through to immediate, shocking success by 1997.
The first true thunderclap moment came in November 1997 at the Ameritech Cup Chicago. Serena was ranked number 304.
304. So
Wow.
she needed a wild card just to get into the main draw.
Exactly. But she didn't just win a match. She upset number 7, Mary Pierce, and in the quarterfinals, absolutely stunned number 4, Monica Seles, one of the greatest players of that era.
Defeating 2 top 10 opponents while ranked 304. I mean, that is an unheard of metric.
It secured her place in the record books. She became the lowest-ranked player in the Open era to defeat 2 top 10 opponents in one tournament. That single run propelled her from outside the top 300 straight into the top 100, finishing 1997 ranked number 99.
And just a year later.
By the end of 1998, she was already ranked number 20, which at the time was the fastest achievement of that milestone in women's history.
She went from relative obscurity to a genuine threat in 2 years. So the stage was set, and 1999 proved she belonged at the very top.
1999 culminated in the 1999 U.S. Open title. And her path there was a murderer's row of established champions. We're talking Kim Clijsters, Conchita Martinez, Monica Seles again, and the defending champion Lindsay Davenport.
And in the final.
She faced world number 1 Martina Hingis in the final and won in straight sets. It was a massive upset for the established order.
And that win was more than a tennis achievement. It was a cultural one.
A huge cultural one. It made her only the second African-American woman after the legendary Althea Gibson in 1958 to win a major singles title.
That's a 41-year gap. The historical weight of that moment just cannot be understated.
And we can't overlook the doubles foundation here either. As early as 1998, she and Venus won their first professional doubles title. She also picked up 2 mixed doubles majors that year.
So this constant exposure to the doubles court, with its quick reflexes and net play, that was being integrated directly into her singles game.
Exactly. It gave her a completeness that few opponents could match, a point we'll definitely return to later.
So we see a pattern emerging. Radical training, immediate confrontation with the system, and then overwhelming, shocking success right out of the gate.
That's the blueprint.
Moving into the new millennium, the years 2000 through 2003 established what we now recognize as the slam standard, but they also cemented the global dominance of the Williams sister duo in doubles.
The doubles achievements really set a precedent. They won the Olympic doubles gold in Sydney in 2000, and then in 2001, by winning the Australian Open doubles title, they completed the career Grand Slam in doubles.
Becoming only the fifth pair in history to do so.
Right. But what is utterly unique about the Williams sisters' doubles career is their record in major finals. 14 wins, 0 losses.
14-0.
They were completely undefeated on the biggest stage.
That consistency, never faltering when a major title was on the line, is just a staggering statistic. It speaks volumes about their shared mental approach to big moments.
It really does. But the true peak of her early dominance was the first Serena Slam.
Okay, so this was a non-calendar year sweep of all 4 majors.
Yes, spanning from the 2002 French Open to the 2003 Australian Open.
What makes that run so challenging and so narratively complex is the adversary in every single one of those finals.
That's the twist that makes the first Serena Slam truly unique in sports history. She defeated Venus in the final of all 4 consecutive majors.
I mean, think about that. The mental fortitude required to defeat the person closest to you on the planet 4 times in a row with the world watching.
It was an unprecedented demonstration of familial and shared sporting dominance.
It wasn't just physical dominance, it was psychological control over the sport itself. And in 2002, she also achieved the Surface Slam.
The Surface Slam means winning majors on all 3 primary surfaces, hard, clay, and grass, in the same calendar year. She accomplished this in 2002, matching only Martina Navratilova and Steffi Graf in the Open era.
So what was her record like that year?
She finished 2002 with a stunning 56-5 win-loss record and, of course, the #1 ranking.
Following that incredible peak, the next era, from about 2004 to 2011, becomes this critical narrative arc in her story, the ultimate comeback.
Right. She went from holding all 4 titles to battling injuries, personal loss, and deep professional struggles.
This period really tested her resolve profoundly, didn't it?
It did. It was marked by serious physical setbacks, including chronic knee and ankle injuries. By 2006, her ranking plummeted dramatically to number 139.
139. That's the lowest it had been since she first broke into the top 100.
And the source material reveals that this period wasn't just about physical pain. She suffered emotionally. She was battling clinical depression.
She actually stepped away from tennis for 6 months entirely.
She did. And was seeing a therapist daily.
That context is so vital. She wasn't just losing matches. She was struggling with mental and physical exhaustion. And the outside world was so quick to write her off.
Absolutely. The media narrative shifted from dominance to decline. Commentator Pat Cash publicly stated that her goal of returning to the top rankings was deluded.
And she was widely criticized for being out of shape.
Yes, there was open speculation that she had prioritized outside interests, fashion, acting over tennis.
So how did she manage the rigorous mental and physical path back to the top? What was the catalyst?
That external pressure, which she called mean commentary, actually became a powerful motivator. A pivotal moment, often cited, was a conversation with a Nike representative.
What happened there?
The representative allegedly warned her that the company might cancel her sponsorship if she didn't perform at her customary level. That financial and public pressure reignited her competitive fire.
And that fire led directly to the incredible 2007 Australian Open run.
She entered that tournament unseeded, which was just shocking for a player of her caliber. Everyone expected her to lose early.
Instead, she went on this electrifying run,
culminating in the final against Maria Sharapova. And she won that final 6-1, 6-2, dropping only 3 games. It was a humiliating defeat for the reigning Wimbledon champion.
So she became the first unseeded player since 1978 to win the Australian Open singles title, claiming her 8th major. That comeback just redefined her narrative.
It really solidified a theme. Serena Williams never leaves the court until she has rewritten the script. It also showed she could win a major title when not at her absolute physical peak.
Relying instead on strategic intelligence and mental toughness.
Precisely.
That resilience set the stage for the next period, where she reestablished absolute dominance, particularly with the career Golden Slam in singles in 2012.
The 2012 London Olympics was the moment. By securing the singles gold medal, she completed the career Golden Slam in singles, matching Steffi Graf's achievement.
Proving her sustained excellence across a decade.
And this is the period where her most famous weapon, the serve, became statistically historic.
Right, at Wimbledon that year.
That Wimbledon in 2012 showcased her serve at its absolute peak. She set a new record by serving 24 aces in one match.
Okay.
And she accumulated 102 total aces throughout the tournament, the most by any player, male or female, in the tournament's history. This just signaled a complete reestablishment of her physical superiority and technical refinement.
So now we move into the second reign, from 2013 to 2017. And this era is defined by unprecedented longevity, defying the constraints of age in the Open era.
Her return to #1 in 2013 was a huge symbolic milestone. She became the oldest woman in the Open era to hold the ranking,
Proving that the traditional peak years of tennis could be extended.
through superior fitness and strategic play, yeah.
And the success translated directly to financial dominance, breaking new ground for female athletes.
She shattered financial records that same year. She became the first female player to earn more than $10 million in a single season, totaling $12.4 million in prize money.
That was a massive financial benchmark for women's sports.
It really demonstrated her marketability and her drawing power.
And then she captured the second Serena Slam, something very few players achieve even once.
From the 2014 U.S. Open to the 2015 Wimbledon, she won all 4 major titles again in a row. This was an almost unbelievable act of repeat dominance.
And in 2016.
In 2016, she tied Steffi Graf's open-era record of 186 consecutive weeks at #1, which just showcases sustained, week-to-week consistency.
The pinnacle of this era came at the 2017 Australian Open. This win isn't just a record, it's widely considered one of the most astonishing athletic feats in history.
That victory saw her surpass Graf's open-era record of 22 major singles titles, securing her 23rd by defeating Venus one last time in a major final. But here is the critical jaw-dropping fact.
This is the part that's just hard to comprehend.
She won that title while approximately 8 to 9 weeks pregnant.
We need to analyze the significance of that for a moment. Tennis is a sport of explosive rotational movements. We're talking about high-intensity, maximal effort work over 2 weeks. What did the source material tell us about the physiological demands she met while pregnant?
The physiological analysis is just startling. The first trimester is often accompanied by extreme fatigue, nausea, and changes in cardiovascular capacity, yet she performed at a world-beating level.
Winning the Australian Open requires intense heat management, sustained anaerobic effort.
And she was moving, serving, and rotating at peak performance despite her body undergoing these rapid hormonal and physical changes. It just fundamentally redefines the conversation around peak female athleticism and competitive drive.
It really underscores that her competitive threshold was higher than the physical limits of the sport itself.
And the adversity continued immediately after. She gave birth that September, but later revealed she suffered a pulmonary embolism after delivery.
Which led to emergency surgeries.
Yes, and it prevented her from returning to training for 6 weeks. This explains why her comeback from motherhood was longer and more difficult than many expected.
Okay, finally, let's look at the final chapter of her playing career, 2018 to 2022, which she characterized not as retirement, but as her evolution away from professional tennis.
Right. After her return from maternity leave, the physical limits were a bit more apparent, but the mental edge remained. She still reached 4 major finals.
2 Wimbledons and 2 U.S. Opens in 2018 and 2019.
And while she didn't secure that elusive 24th major, her presence alone continued to anchor the top tier of women's tennis. Her retirement announcement in August 2022 signaled her intention to focus on family and her venture capital firm, Serena Ventures.
And she still managed to break a final late career record during her farewell tour.
Of course she did. At the 2022 U.S. Open, in her final singles run, she defeated world number 2 Anett Kontaveit.
And in doing so,
by achieving that victory, she became the oldest woman in the Open era to defeat a top 3 ranked player. She played her final match against Ajla Tomljanovic, ensuring her exit was marked by the same relentless fight that defined her entry into the sport.
Now, let's drill down into the mechanics. Her game fundamentally rewrote the tactical playbook for women's tennis, defined by raw, aggressive power that was almost unheard of before her arrival.
Serena Williams was the archetypal aggressive baseliner, but perfected to a level of dominance previously unseen. Her game was always centered around maximum aggression.
Primarily her powerful serve and her forceful ground stroke.
Exactly. Because this style operates on high velocity, the source material notes she generated a massive number of winners, but often balanced that with a corresponding volume of unforced errors. It was high-risk, high-reward tennis.
Let's focus on the serve, which analysts consistently call the best in women's tennis history. What made it more effective than just raw speed?
Well, speed was certainly a factor. She recorded a 128.6-mile-per-hour ace in 2013, but the strategic effectiveness was rooted in two technical aspects: deception and spin.
Talk to us about deception. How did that work?
It all came down to the consistent ball toss. Because her toss accuracy was so reliable, she could use the exact same shoulder and body motion to serve flat, kick, or slice the ball to any spot on the service box.
So it was completely unreadable.
Unreadable. Opponents couldn't tell if they were facing a flat 120-mile-per-hour ace to the corner or a high-bouncing kick serve until the ball was already past the net. It forced returners into defensive positions immediately.
And her second serve was also a weapon.
It was a weapon in its own right, yes. She didn't just dump in a safe second serve, she used deep, effective kick and slice serves, often landing them with power and spin. This minimized double faults while still preventing opponents from scoring free points. Her service hold percentage throughout her career is just evidence of this complete mastery.
The sheer firepower of her ground strokes was the second wave of attack.
Absolutely devastating. Both her forehand and her two-handed backhand are technically superb and among the most powerful shots in history.
How did they differ?
Her forehand was hit with heavy topspin, giving it incredible margin over the net while still landing deep and heavy. This pushed opponents far behind the baseline and allowed her to open up the court with acute angles for winners.
And the backhand was often described as flatter, almost more purely aggressive.
Yes. Her two-handed backhand, which has been described as one of the greatest of all time, was generally flatter and struck with immense velocity. She generated tremendous speed and depth, allowing her to hit clean winners from a defensive or neutral position.
This relentless combination just forced constant pressure on the opponent. You highlighted earlier that her early doubles career influenced her singles game. How did that foundational experience translate onto the court later in her career?
It provided her with a tactical escape route. While she preferred the baseline, her 14-0 record in major doubles finals proved she was an expert net player.
So she was comfortable advancing and finishing points.
Very comfortable. She used aggressive volleys and her powerful, reliable overhead smash. More subtly, her doubles training sharpened her return of serve, which was notoriously aggressive.
Oh, so.
She had the ability to neutralize powerful first serves and absolutely punish weak second serves, turning a defensive position into an immediate offense.
Beyond the technical aspects, what truly defines a long-reigning champion is the mental and competitive edge. This is where Serena was often considered peerless.
Mental toughness is the essence of her longevity and her comeback ability. Martina Navratilova called her mental strength unbelievable.
I remember a quote from Lena about that.
Yes, Lena, a rival, summed up her clutch ability perfectly. She noted that when Serena was breakpoint down, there was an 80% chance she serves an ace. That is pure, repeatable clutch performance under the highest pressure.
She's certainly earned the nickname Comeback Queen.
The statistics are staggering and deserve a full moment of appreciation. She won 37 Grand Slam matches from a set down.
37. So opponents could execute a perfect game plan for the first 45 minutes, win the set, and yet the odds still favored Serena coming back.
To win the next two, yes. Even more incredibly, she won 3 slams all at the Australian Open after saving match points earlier in the tournament. That is a record held by no other player in history.
It's just incredible.
John McEnroe called her ability to rally from deficits a gift and crowned her the greatest competitor in women's tennis history. Her mental game allowed her to simplify down to her strongest assets, the serve and the forehand, when the stakes were highest, ensuring opponents could rarely breach that final mental wall.
Every great champion needs defining rivalries that test them and elevate the sport. Serena had several, spanning multiple generations, but we have to start with the unique challenge she faced internally, the rivalry with her sister Venus.
The Williams versus Williams rivalry is, it's unparalleled in sports history. 2 siblings simultaneously dominating a global sport.
And what was the head-to-head record?
Serena leads the overall head-to-head 19-12. Critically, in major finals, Serena asserted her dominance, winning 7 of the 9 Grand Slam finals they contested.
And they were the first 2 players in the Open era to face off in 4 consecutive Grand Slam finals.
Between 2002 and 2003, yes.
The cultural significance of their shared dominance was immense, but that spotlight also created immense pressure, leading to controversial and often heartbreaking moments.
The 2001 Indian Wells controversy is the most notable and historically crucial event. It was mandatory WTA tour stop, and Venus suddenly withdrew from the semifinal against Serena minutes before the match, citing knee tendinitis.
And the reaction was immediate and ugly.
It immediately fueled these damaging rumors of match fixing. The source material mentions that commentators like John McEnroe and rival Elena Dementieva openly suggested that Richard Williams was deciding the results of their matches.
So when Serena went on to play the final,
When she went on to defeat Kim Clijsters in the final, the match was just marred by overt, racially charged crowd behavior towards Serena and her entire family. Fans booed loudly, and Richard Williams later stated he heard racial slurs directed at them from the stands.
that moment must have been devastating. How did the family respond to that?
Both Serena and Venus made a very public and principled stand. They pledged to boycott the Indian Wells event entirely.
And that boycott lasted for how long?
Serena's boycott lasted an incredible 14 years. She only returned in 2015. It highlights the complexities and often painful intersection of race, family loyalty, and professional sport that define their career. For them, principle superseded professional obligation for over a decade.
Now let's look at her dynamics against the external titans of her era, starting with Maria Sharapova. This is a rivalry often framed by the media as intense, yet the stats, well, they tell a story of absolute one-sided dominance.
The head-to-head record is 20-2 in Serena's favor. Sharapova's 2 wins came very early. The upset in the 2004 Wimbledon final and the 2004 WTA Tour Championships final.
But after that,
Williams won 18 consecutive matches between 2005 and 2019. What's fascinating is the analysis of why she maintained this crushing dominance for 15 years.
so why did Sharapova's powerful baseline game consistently fail against Williams?
Analysts suggest that Sharapova's power game was neutralized by 2 things: Serena's superior athleticism and her unique strategic advantage. Serena's serve gave her an edge that Sharapova could not match.
And her defense.
Serena's defensive quickness allowed her to absorb Sharapova's aggression and turn it back on her, forcing errors. Crucially, after the initial defeats, the rivalry became intensely mental. It became a matchup superiority that Sharapova simply could not overcome.
Okay, next, the clash of contrasting styles against Justine Henin.
Serena, with her one-handed backhand and tactical variety, provided a different kind of competitive challenge. Serena leads the series 8-6, which is far closer than the Sharapova rivalry.
And there was a major flashpoint between them.
Yes, during the 2003 French Open semifinal, which Serena lost, breaking her Serena Slam streak.
What was the controversy surrounding that match?
The conflict centered on a perceived lack of sportsmanship from Henin. Williams claimed that Henin put up her hand to signal she wasn't ready to receive serve, leading Williams to pause, but Henin immediately served anyway.
And the crowd was involved as well.
Williams also publicly pointed to the Paris spectators, who were seen cheering loudly and applauding her unforced errors, arguing that the environment lacked respect. This match really defined the tension between the two.
And finally, Victoria Azarenka, who was perhaps the most capable rival during Serena's second major reign.
While Serena maintained a strong lead of 18-5, Azarenka is noted as the only player in the modern game who possessed the physicality and raw power to consistently challenge Williams.
So what's the critical detail there?
The critical detail is that Azarenka is the only player to win 4 WTA Tour-level finals against Williams. This shows that while Serena typically won the deep-run matches in the majors, Azarenka was capable of getting the better of her in best-of-3 set finals at other high-level tournaments. It was a truly competitive dynamic.
Serena's career transcends mere statistics because it was marked by these highly public and contentious collisions with officials and umpires. This is an essential part of understanding the unique pressures she faced as a dominant, expressive female athlete.
Yes, the source material details a pattern of escalation in high-stakes matches, often at the U.S. Open, which became a flashpoint for disputes over professional conduct and officiating consistency. The first major event was the 2009 U.S. Open semifinal against Kim Clijsters.
Let's detail the specifics of that night, as the penalty was severe.
Williams had already received a warning for racket abuse. Later, on a crucial second serve that was match point for Clijsters, Williams was called for a foot fault.
Which is a rarely enforced rule, especially in such a high-leverage moment.
Exactly. Williams then directed profanity and, critically, a specific threat, threatening to shove a tennis ball down the lineswoman's throat at the official who made the call. This outburst was classified as aggravated verbal abuse.
And the result was immediate.
She was penalized a point for unsportsmanlike conduct, which, because it was match point, resulted in Clijsters winning the match. The Grand Slam committee then levied a massive fine of $175,000 and placed her on a 2-year probation.
The severity of that punishment was unprecedented for the offense.
It really was.
Then came the 2011 U.S. Open final against Samantha Stosur, where she lost, but another verbal confrontation erupted with the chair umpire.
Correct. During that match, Serena became angry after receiving a hindrance call. She publicly made gestures and unflattering comments directed at the umpire, Eve Asderaki, calling her a hater.
But the penalty was much less severe that time.
Much less. She was fined only $2,000 and, crucially, was not barred from competing in subsequent majors because her comments didn't meet the definition of major offense that would have violated her probation.
This inconsistency in officiating enforcement sets the context for the most famous and highly scrutinized confrontation, the 2018 U.S. Open final against Naomi Osaka.
This brought the confluence of on-court pressure and off-court cultural scrutiny to a peak. The situation escalated dramatically due to a series of 3 code violations handed out by the chair umpire, Carlos Ramos.
What were the 3 violations, and why did they escalate the way they did?
The first violation was for coaching. Her coach, Patrick Mouratoglou, later admitted in an interview that he had given her hand signals.
Though Williams vehemently claimed she didn't see them.
Exactly. The second violation was for racket abuse. She smashed her racket in frustration, which carried an automatic point penalty.
And after that penalty,
Williams confronted the umpire, calling him a thief for penalizing her for coaching she claimed she hadn't received. This led to the third violation for verbal abuse, which triggered the automatic game penalty. She ultimately lost the match and was fined $17,000.
in the aftermath, she made a very public claim that the intensity of the penalties was applied differently because she is a woman.
That was her public and persistent claim, that male players routinely engaged in similar behavior, including calling umpires far worse things, without receiving the same level of punitive escalation, especially game penalties.
So she argued a blatant double standard based on gender.
Yes, that the umpire was targeting her for expressing emotion and fighting for her rights as a player.
This specific controversy led immediately to massive cultural fallout, particularly centered around media representations of her behavior.
We're referring, of course, to the controversial Herald Sun cartoon published soon after by Mark Knight.
Right?
The cartoon depicted Williams throwing a tantrum with exaggerated physical features that were immediately condemned as racist and sexist, including by her husband and public figures like J.K. Rowling.
The depiction focused on traditional racist caricatures, exaggeratedly large lips, and ape-like pose,
While also incorrectly depicting Naomi Osaka, the winner, as a thin blonde woman, erasing Osaka's identity as a woman of color.
So regardless of the cartoonist's defense that he was satirizing poor sportsmanship, the incident highlighted the intense intersectional scrutiny, race, gender, and sports criticism that followed her throughout her career.
These moments, though difficult, were intrinsically linked to her hyper-competitive nature and her immense profile. They force us to analyze how female athletes, particularly women of color, are policed differently regarding emotional expression and on-court conduct compared to their male counterparts.
When we talk about Serena Williams' legacy, the conversation quickly moves past the baseline. She didn't just play tennis, she instigated a cultural shift and simultaneously built a massive business empire.
She fundamentally changed the sport forever. She and Venus are widely credited with ushering in a new era of power and athleticism on the women's professional tour.
Before them, women's tennis was often defined by finesse and angles.
Exactly. The Williams sisters brought raw, uncompromising physical aggression.
And the change wasn't just stylistic, it was demographic.
Absolutely. They significantly increased diversity within tennis. The general manager of player development for the USTA noted the huge impact that really can't be overstated, attracting thousands of girls from all backgrounds and races to the sport.
Seeing themselves reflected at the highest levels.
Exactly.
That cultural shift supports the greatest of all time status.
It does. High praise has followed her for years. Roger Federer stated in 2018 that she probably has the best case for greatest of all time, man or woman.
And John McEnroe went even further.
He did. He later described her as the GOAT of GOATs, citing the complete dominance across singles, doubles, and her incredible longevity.
And her awards list confirms this external recognition.
She is a 4-time winner of the Laureus World Sportswoman of the Year, won the Comeback of the Year in 2007, and was named the AP Female Athlete of the Decade for the 2010s.
And more recently,
More recently, in 2024, the International Sports Press Association voted her as the best female athlete of the past 100 years. Her dominance defined her decade and beyond.
She conquered the court, but she simultaneously built a second, equally impressive career in business and philanthropy, which she views as a form of economic activism.
Her most notable move was founding the venture capital firm Serena Ventures in 2014. And this is not a passive investment fund.
No, it's very targeted.
Very. The firm focuses specifically on investing in startup companies whose perspectives and innovations level the playing field for women and people of color. As of 2022, Serena Ventures had raised more than $110 million.
That's a powerful statement about using capital for targeted social and economic change, deliberately focusing on closing the funding gap for founders who are traditionally marginalized.
Exactly. She understood her influence was far greater than mere celebrity endorsement. She also took on significant corporate roles.
Like what?
She served as chief sporting officer for British luxury car manufacturer Aston Martin and joined the board of directors for high-profile tech companies like SurveyMonkey and the online fashion marketplace Poshmark.
Demonstrating that her expertise was valued far outside the tennis world.
And we can't forget her early entry into sports ownership, another layer of influence,
She and Venus became minority owners of the Miami Dolphins in 2009.
making them the first African-American women to hold any amount of ownership in an NFL franchise. This was a pioneering move into the business of sports ownership.
Her philanthropy efforts focus heavily on community and education.
Through the Serena Williams Foundation, she has built schools in Kenya and Jamaica and provides crucial university scholarships. And in her childhood home of Compton, she and Venus co-founded the Attuned Price Resource Center.
Named in honor of their late half-sister.
Yes, and it provides community resources to families affected by violence and trauma.
And her voice has been powerful in activism, connecting her professional struggles to broader societal issues.
She became increasingly vocal on social issues as her career progressed. She supported Black Lives Matter on her Facebook page in 2016, expressing concern that her young nephew could be in danger from police due to his skin color.
Personalizing the issue for her audience.
Right. She also wrote a high-profile open letter in 2016 on gender equality and equal pay. For her sustained activism and barrier-breaking achievements, she received the NAACP Jackie Robinson Sports Award in 2023.
Her legacy truly is multifaceted. A champion athlete, a savvy businesswoman, and a dedicated, focused activist.
Without a doubt.
This has been a monumental deep dive into an absolutely singular career. We've covered everything from her unique, insulated training environment in Compton, Richard Williams' radical strategic choices, through two separate eras of the Serena Slam.
To the specific technical genius of her unreadable serve.
We've explored her boundary-pushing financial records and her ultimate evolution into a venture capital powerhouse and cultural icon.
The totality of her career is what makes the case for her greatness so overwhelming. It's a blend of unmatched, transformative power that redefined the women's game, coupled with a longevity that defies biological norms.
I mean, winning 10 major singles titles after age 30 is just staggering.
It is. And completing multiple major slams after turning 30, including winning the 2017 Australian Open while pregnant, her business acumen, her investment thesis, and her commitment to social equity demonstrate that her impact extends far, far beyond the lines of the tennis court.
She didn't just break records. She fundamentally redefined what athletic achievement looks like over the course of an entire career, setting a benchmark for future generations of athletes to measure themselves against.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've analyzed the facts, the technical dominance, the cultural influence. Let's leave you with one final thought to mull over as you process the magnitude of her journey.
Okay, let's hear it.
Serena Williams completed the career Grand Slam in singles and doubles, achieved a career Golden Slam in both disciplines, and won 10 major singles titles after age 30, dominating the sport across 4 decades.
The full resume.
The full resume. So, when looking at the full spectrum of criteria for athletic greatness, longevity, technical mastery, dominance across all aspects of the game, and profound, tangible cultural and economic impact, does any other athlete in history present a stronger case for the title of the GOAT of GOATs than Serena Williams?
That is certainly a powerful question that her source material makes very, very difficult to argue against. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.